Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. It's our Saturday nights, the day after Christmas. Hope you guys all had amazing holidays, however you celebrated, whatever you celebrated. Just thrilled to have you back here with me because it just wouldn't be the same without you. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And those of you that are still coming in, those of you that are already here, it's a rare and wonderful pleasure, as always, to be bringing you the portal. So thank you for that. It gives me purpose. It gives me meaning. So hope you guys had a great time. Hope Santa brought you exactly what you needed or wanted. And hope you're ready to be entertained, because I'm going to do my best to do that if I'm doing my job now. Just so you know, our beloved Mr. Longbeard could not be here tonight. He apparently had too much eggnog or something. I'm not sure. Not sure. He's under the weather tonight, so he apologizes for his absence, but he needed a little more time to recover and said he wasn't feeling well. So we're gonna cover without him tonight. So that means it's you and it's me, and we are the show, which is fine. Of course, we miss Don, and we hope he bounces back really quick, because it's just not the same without him. But we have, of course, the phone lines are open tonight. That will give us an opportunity to hear from you guys. If you want to call in and be a part of the show, we'd love to hear from you. You can call in by dialing 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500 is the number for fun here on the portal. If you are sitting there wondering a little bit later, like, what was that number again? Just look above my head right over here. If you're looking on YouTube, you will see under the words Paranormal Portal on the top of your screen, the number 720-923-0500. If you're not, quickly write it down before you forget it. Or, just... I don't know. I guess if you don't remember it, I'll try to remember to say it a few times through the night. Sometimes I'm better at that than others, but I'll do my best for sure. So we got all kinds of paranormal fun for you tonight. Oh, I forgot to do one thing. In my preparation for the show tonight, I forgot to set up the on-screen chat on YouTube. So let me do that quick. It'll just take but a moment, and we'll get that rolling as well. So there it goes. Should be popping up. There it is. So I have now fulfilled all my hosting obligations except for filling the time, which is what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to be starting a new segment on the show, and it's not going to start quite yet. I was going to try to start it tonight, but I just didn't get a chance to work on it at all. But the show segment is going to be called Comments from the Cheap Seats. And we'll get to that in a bit, in another episode, of course. But essentially, it's sometimes the comments that I get on social media, for YouTube, for example, are just so off the wall and so, I don't know, just I don't know, just on a whole different level of just rude, that I thought, I could ignore them. And I know that most hosts do. Most hosts don't even, respond to a lot of their stuff. And that's not a criticism. It's just, you can't keep up, and it's really hard, but I really try to. But I thought, I guess if they feel so emboldened to leave those comments, then God, I'm going to do my best to make them famous. So that'll be coming up on another show. It's something I'm working on. As I can get it worked in, get some graphics designed for it, we'll be doing that as well. And I kind of inspired by, I don't remember which late night host did it, but one of the late night hosts has that segment where it's called Mean Tweets, and where the actual celebrities read their own, crap posts about them. I thought, God, that's clever. That's really brilliant, because it really puts those people on Front Street for being idiots. And, not that, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and granted, if it's warranted, I'll listen to it. It doesn't mean I'm going to agree with it, but if some of them are just so off the wall and so over the top, just hateful, it's like, all right, I think I want to make them a little more famous for it. But generally, I do try to engage the people first, and, just to see where they're coming from, because, if a dialogue can be had, then that's best. But if not, then, watch for it in upcoming shows. So anyway, I've got a bunch on my plate to bring to you tonight. I know I feel like I gained about 15 pounds in the last few days, but I did actually pretty good sticking to my diet and stuff for the most part. I think I'm still on a good place, but man, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. It's so easy to sit back and just just graze for days, and so I'm feeling really lethargic today just because of that grazing period. So I don't know why I'm telling you about that, but it's just, as I'm sitting here, it's like, wow, my stomach feels really heavy. So anyway, let's get to it. I guess a good place to start, as always, is with our newest segment to the Paranormal Portal, and that is Paranormal News. Paranormal Portal News. Let's get right into it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal News Desk. I know, it just cracks me up. I'm easily amused, believe me. But we're going to cover a couple of different stories that I found tonight. I thought were pretty interesting. This first one is coming from Unearthly News. Well, no, I guess it's coming from Fox News. The headline was from Unearthly News, but the actual article is coming from Fox. And I'll put that on screen. It's again, it's mostly verbal, so I'll just read it to those of you on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. But to those of you on YouTube, you can read along, and we can practice together. And this is, let's see, I'm going to go to here. Okay. It's coming from FoxNews.com, and its former CIA director says unexplained phenomena might constitute a different form of life. I find that really encouraging because, that's some really forward thinking, because I've often thought, would it be possible, for all of the lights, all of the anomalies, all the weirdness that we see, could some of it just be a different kind of life than what we know? Like, could there be some things that maybe live in our upper atmosphere that, I don't know what they would be and what would constitute that life, but could they be something else? Case in point, there's a few weird videos going around on YouTube, and I haven't seen any new ones for quite some time, but I'll tell you, I'll do my best to explain these weird videos. And they really almost seem to defy explanation. And what it is, let me just make sure I'm broadcasting everywhere and people can hear me. I hope you guys can hear me on TFR. I guess I haven't even checked, but I assume you can, and I hope you guys are hearing me on YouTube. I didn't even check. I'm just off to the races. So, Bam, if you're there, if you could let me know on TFR if you're hearing me okay, that'd be great. I am still working with a new board here, so I'm a little nervous, and I just thought about it again. But the videos that I'm referring to are quite old, and they were literally filmed on those potato cams. So they're really, really low quality, both of them that I'm thinking of. And one of which seems to be taken somewhere over in the Middle East. And it's this guy driving around in his car, and it's in the desert somewhere. And it's also in a village or city, and suddenly he slows down and stops, and ahead you can see this little, I don't know, it's probably about a horse-sized cloud. Okay, thank you, Bam, I appreciate that. It's about a horse-sized cloud, and it's right next to the ground. It's just gliding along, and everybody's kind of taken aback by it. And I don't know what gets their attention most. Maybe it's the fact that there's this white fluffy cloud right on the surface of the desert, and it's still a white fluffy cloud. Maybe that's like, I don't know how much fog they get over there, but all by itself in the heat of the day is this white fluffy cloud. The guy gets out of his car, walks to the front of his car where other people are staring at it, and he reaches out a hand and puts it in this cloud. And it's literally, it's like he's able to touch it. And when he pulls his hand out, this quote unquote cloud seems to be deformed by where his hand touched it. And I'm saying touch because I don't know what kind of physical sensation the guy got from this experience, but he touched it. It seemed deformed, and then it like rolls along this chain link fence. As it's rolling along this chain link fence, these little, I don't know, cloudlets are coming loose, and they're kind of dispersing around it, but they kind of land and they almost look like cotton, but they're not. But and they have a wafting presence to them, as if they're dissipating ever so slowly. It's really, really bizarre, really peculiar, but it almost seems to have an intelligence. I don't know what it is about the video necessarily that triggers me that way, but it's just like, God, that's not like any cloud I've ever seen. Because when you see a fallen cloud, and everybody has this, basically fog, but it's these low flying clouds, and there are like little fog banks that drift around. You go through them, it feels cool and misty in them, and then they pass and whatever. But this seemed different. It seemed quite a bit different, and it got me thinking. What if when we're looking up at these clouds, these big voluminous cumulus clouds that are up there, what if in those exists something that blends in perfectly, but is able to live in that type of terrarium, so to speak? It was able to live among the clouds, and it's able to propagate and breed and expand and accumulate and whatever have you. But could there be other types of life? So that's a long way of me saying, when I read this headline, it kind of made me think of that, because all the time we're hearing these people reporting lights, reporting these weird crafts. Sometimes they're even reporting clouds that look like craft. They look like saucers and stuff. And maybe they are a different kind of life. Maybe they're actually not a craft of some kind. But let's read this article and find out what it says. I'm assuming it's an article. It says, no one can say for certain what UFOs actually are, but a former director of the CIA said some of the recent unexplained phenomenon might constitute a different form of life. Speaking on a podcast with American economist Tyler Cohen, John Brennan said that while he did not know what the phenomenon was exactly, it's a bit presumptuous and arrogant for us to believe that there's no other life form anywhere in the entire universe. I think some of the phenomena we are going to be seeing continues to be unexplained, and might in fact be some type of phenomena that is the result of something we don't yet understand, and could involve some type of activity that some might say constitutes a different form of life. Brennan said, according to a transcript of the podcast. It says, Nick Pope, former employee and UFO investigator for Britain's Ministry of Defense, said Brennan's comments are intriguing given his former position. When I first heard the interview, I thought he was going to play it safe, and his mention of weather phenomenon reinforced that view, Pope told Fox News via email. But for him to then start speculating about something people might say constitutes a different form of life was extraordinary. While it may have been a slip of the tongue and an inadvertent muddling of tenses, I was also fascinated to hear him mention not just the previous U.S. Navy UFO sightings, but some of the phenomena we're going to be seeing, as if he was talking about future events. Brennan, the former director of the CIA under President Obama from March 2013 till January 2017, also discussed the trio of videos that were officially released by the Pentagon in April of unified aerial phenomena. I've seen some of those videos from Navy pilots, and I must tell you that they are quite eyebrow-raising when you look at them, Brennan explained. You try to ensure that you have as much data as possible in terms of visuals, and also different types of maybe technical collection of sensors that you have at the time. The videos in reference, known as FLIR 1, Gimbal, and Go Fast, were previously captured by Navy aircraft with the footage circulating in the public for years. They were originally released to the New York Times and to the Stars Academy of Arts and Science, headed by Tom DeLonghi. After the videos were released publicly, DeLong said UFOs are real in a since deleted tweet. In July, the New York Times reported that a small group of government officials, including Reed, and scientists believe that objects of undetermined origin have crashed to Earth and have been retrieved. The publication cited Eric Davis, an astrophysicist who worked as a subcontractor and a consultant for the Pentagon UFO program. Davis, who now works for the defense contractor Aerospace Corporation, said he gave briefings on the recovery of unexplained objects to staff members of the Senate Armed Services Committee and the Senate Intelligence Committee on October 21st and October 23rd, 2019. In August, the Pentagon created a task force to investigate UFOs, or UAPs, following several unexplained incidents that have been observed by the U.S. military. So, what does that mean? Well, maybe it means nothing. But it certainly does seem to indicate at least an acknowledgement for the possibility of alien life. And I'm not saying that it's exactly what he's saying, but and then again, there's John Brennan is certainly not an incontroversial figure. He's at the center of a lot of intrigue and weird things going on in the nation's capital, of course, but there does seem to be a pretty distributed interest in this stuff, and it's surprising how much is being, and I don't want to say acknowledged, but kind of is acknowledged. It's even for him to have these discussions publicly under an interview, to me, is interesting. What do they know? What are they prepared to let us know? I guess it'll all be, of course, we'll have to wait to see, but we'll find out in time. But it is kind of exciting. So, other forms of life. Now, I was also meaning that to indicate that there's perhaps other forms of life too that we observe, and we think that they're some kind of craft, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're just some other type of biological life that exists in our geosphere, and we just haven't come to understand it yet. And again, I go back to those cloud things. Now, I don't mean to imply those cloud videos are exactly legitimate, and I'll try to find some and hopefully post them up in the chat rooms so that you guys can see them. But I find them very interesting because just the behavior is so unusual. And I also like that they were recorded at such a time as people were probably still using flip phones for the large part. And, they're really low resolution cameras, but the beauty of those videos, I think, or the simplicity in them, is that at the time they were recorded, digital editing was not as accessible as it is now. Not everybody had After Effects and Premiere and and some version of those where they could do profound video editing or Blender or Maya or Unreal Engine or whatever, which are really widely distributed and very freely available now. So as time progresses and more of this stuff comes out, it's harder to take them at face value, just because it's really pretty obvious the amount of manipulation that's available and can easily be accomplished by a kid that has a sick day from school. I mean, if they're in school at all now, but you know what I mean. Back when these videos were recorded, it was just some people with flip phones. I mean, it was kind of the first advent of people having widely distributed and accessible cameras to capture this kind of stuff. And as I said, unfortunately, the editing portion of that has become so much more accessible now, and it makes it harder to acknowledge or even accept video evidence. But when these were recorded, I think it was still, it would have been hard to pull that off. And it does stand up as at least being really unique. But I'll try to find that and pull that up for you guys over a break when I've got a moment here. But that's our first news story. Let's see what else is going on in the hot sheets tonight. Gotta wait for my computer to catch up. It's really doggy. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I got some hack on here. Remember all that controversy over the hacks going on in the U.S. I don't know. It could be distributed denial of service kind of stuff, but anyway, I'm gonna have to clean the portal pewter. Let's see, where was I here? Oh no, I think we already saw that. Okay, never mind. I'm not going to read that. I was going to read one, but as I scanned it just now, I was like, nah, let's skip that one. I'm going to go to this one and refresh, see what we got here. Just going to do another article or two for the news segment, and then we'll move on. We got a lot of different stuff to go over, including an article of bizarre creatures that were seen only once, which we kind of cracked open last weekend. but we're going to get through the rest of it tonight. I don't know if this comes with a video on it, but I might have to send links over to TFR as well. Oh, okay. Let's see what this is. The headline is just cracking me up because it's like, wow, that's not what you'd expect from marine life. But the article I'm talking about is coming from unexplained-mysteries.com, and the article is called "Octopus is Filmed Punching a Fish in the Face." It's punching a fish. Now, octopus are almost an alien life too. I mean, they are certainly incredibly unique among all life on the planet. There's like nothing like the octopus other than squid, I guess, are kind of like octopus, but they are such a different life form. And I guess it is a video, so I'm gonna have to put this link over in there, and I'm hoping I think we'll show it on the YouTube segment. So if you're not in the TFR chat and you'd like to see what we're gonna discuss, head over to youtube.com/paranormal portal, and you can watch the simulcast live and check it out there. But I'm putting a link in the tfrlive.com/chat as well. So the article says octopus and fish sometimes work together to find food, but this unlikely alliance doesn't always work out. It might seem like the unlikeliest of partnerships, but on multiple occasions, scientists have observed these eight-legged cephalopods working together with fish to hunt for their prey on the ocean floor. Like many partnerships, however, they don't always see eye to eye. Hit him in the face. In a new study, researchers have highlighted observations of octopus literally punching their fish partners in the face when they become disillusioned with how things are going. Between 2018 and 2019, a total of 8 different incidents were recorded off the coast of Israel and Egypt involving the octopus lashing out at fish that it had partnered up with. I laughed out loud and almost choked on my own regulator, said lead study author Eduardo Sampaio of the University of Lisbon. The fish would get pushed off to the edge of the group, or it would actually leave the group. Sometimes after a while it would return. Other times it would not return at all. So apparently they have like literally falling out. The octopus would leave the fish alone after displacing it. Despite collaborating, each partner will always try to maximize its benefits. In the cases where the prey is readily available, the octopus seems to use punching as a way to control the partner's behavior in a self-serving way. This is going to be great. I don't have any idea what to expect here, folks. So I'm going to play the video, and we'll do it without sound because I don't want to stomp on somebody's if they have a song in this or whatever. I don't need a strike for it, but yeah, there was smacking a fish. Boom. Octopus is punching a fish. Yeah, so they team up, they work together, and when the octopus gets sick of the fish's crap, they'll start popping it. The boss is here. Oh, there you go. Huh. So that's interesting. And now that again, oftentimes we think of nature and we think of these, they're just almost mechanical in their natures. Like they do something for the environment. They do something to maintain a balance. And maybe that's true, but could they also have an emotional range as well? Like octopuses, for example, they have a huge brain. They got a big eye. They're widely observed to be incredibly intelligent, even, more so than just this article. I've seen videos of this diver woman who essentially befriended an octopus, and it would come greet her every time she dove, and it would have her come and lift things so it could look underneath for food. And it was just this really neat video, showcasing this intelligence, and I find that incredibly interesting. But there you go. I don't know. Apparently they like to team up with fish too, but they don't they don't find the partnership real agreeable. So that's not something you see every day. Is it paranormal? No, but it's not normal either. So I guess it is kind of paranormal. Didn't know you'd see that today, did you? But I think that's going to about wrap up our news segment for tonight. So I hope you enjoyed the news. Let's get back to the rest of the show. right, folks. There we go. Punch an octopus. Just what you didn't think you'd see. But following the holidays, maybe everybody feels like punching a fish. No, I'm kidding. I hope everybody's in a great mood following the holidays. But we're going to go to the first break, and we'll be right back on the other side. And we'll dive into more of the Paranormal Portal here. So don't go away, everybody. If you're new to the show, we got to take the breaks because we are simulcasting on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. So the station breaks have got to happen because we got to pay the bills. We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what? Over the break, I went and looked I went and looked for cloud videos, and I didn't even think about the fact that all this cloud storage is going on now, and they got to name it that. So I don't think I'm going to have a snowball's chance in hell in finding a cloud video. So, not the one I'm looking for anyway, at least not in the little bit of time that I have during the course of the show. So if any of you out there find it, please let me know or send me a link so I can put it on screen, because I think it's really interesting. I don't know what keywords to use to find it in a hurry. But it's a really interesting video. I wish I could show you it because it's really bizarre, really, really bizarre. But anyway, we are back and back at it, of course, here on the show. We're going to break back into that list that we started last time. Got to wait for everything to load. I'm trying to get stuff closed as I'm moving along here so that my computer finally catches up with me a little bit. I'm asking a lot of it. I always do, though. I just don't know. Yeah, that was it. Okay. So, yeah, this one we read. Okay. I'm trying to find where we left off. Okay, so I think this is where we're going to start up again. We're about halfway through this article. This article is strange creatures that were sighted and reported only once. I find these interesting because we do hear, normally you hear it was a big hairy figure. It was a dog-like man running around. I mean, there's so many people bumping into quote unquote cryptids that fall under the same basic guidelines as dozens or hundreds or thousands of other ones. And so we can say, well, that's probably most likely a Sasquatch, or that's probably most likely a dog man, or something of that nature. So it's not hard to kind of classify it. We just go by those general descriptions. And, you always, of course, leave some latitude in these things because everybody observes things uniquely, so they may describe some things a little different, but if it meets some certain criteria, we just put it in our categories, and that's, I guess, human nature, and that makes sense. But the ones that we're going to talk about now, and we did talk about last week as well, are these strange creatures that people are sighting, but apparently they've only been sighted and at least reported only once. Doesn't mean there's not more of them out there, but it seems that whatever these are, if they're not some weird genetic offshoot of what we already understand, then there maybe isn't very many of them around, or maybe they're from somewhere else and they just happen to be around and got caught. So let's start this up. It's going to probably start a little awkwardly here. This one says, this is an article by Brent Swanser, and it's on mysteriousuniverse.org. And I'm going to see if it says some very bizarre cryptid entities seen only once. So where we're going to pick it up is, says similar in some respects. We have another report, this time from near Waverly, Kentucky, from witness Bill Wolf and his family. The road they were on went straight on through a vast expanse of cornfields. And while there were swaying stalks, while the swaying stalks would have been eerie enough already, it was when they went up over a low hill that things would get truly bizarre. As they went over the hill, they saw something go crawling or slithering across the road in front of them. It was somewhat humanoid shape, around 7 feet tall, very thin and long, and it looked like what they would describe as an anthropomorphic stalk of corn, covered in tufts and what looked like kind of hair one finds growing on corn stalks. The outlandish beast then crawled its way across the road to disappear into the gloomy cornfield on the other side. What was this bizarre creature? Was this some abomination that just crawled in from some parallel goblin universe to go crawling right back out? Well, whatever it was, oh God, get this name. The corn squatch has never been seen since. It's a corn squatch. Wow, it's a corn squatch. I love it. All right, so it's never been seen since. I know, it's hilarious. There's also been the case of a witness who says he saw a huge human-sized insect. This oddity comes from Madison County in Illinois, at the city of St. Jacob, where a witness claims to have encountered what could only be described as some sort of gigantic insect. The anonymous witness said that on Cryptozoology News that he had been driving along the highway at around 3 a.m. when something out of this world had lumbered into the ambience of his headlights. Well, the terrified witness said that he had pumped his brakes at the sight of it and described it as being a 7-foot-tall stick insect. He describes it as follows. An object appeared in my headlights on the right side, crossing the highway. Looked like a giant walking stick with 4 legs. Its head turned as it ran and looked at me just before going out of lighted view. It was redwood, okay, and moved in approximately 1 second or less across the whole lighted area of my headlights. When it turned to me, it had no face. Some cases of these strange one-off encounters come not from the ground, but from the air. Researcher Stan Gordon brings us a report from Fayette County, Pennsylvania, where on March 18th, 2012, an unidentified man claimed he was walking his dog through the rural area when his attention was drawn upwards by an anomalous whooshing noise. When he looked up to see what was causing it, he said he saw what he describes as a dragon. It was purportedly 22 feet long with a wingspan of about 18 feet wide. It was with smooth, reflective, brownish-red skin and topped by a reptilian head ringed by a cone-like structure and with visible fangs. Strangest of all was that the creature's mouth emanated a very ominous orange glow. As the terrified witness looked on, the flying monster unleashed a bellow like a foghorn and flew off into the night and seemingly off of the face of the earth. Good God. An incredibly weird report appeared in the site Cryptozoology News in 2013 and was given by a 32-year-old doctor named Marco Giusetti, who was on a flight from Rome to Boston at the time. It was a rather uneventful flight at first, and 30,000 feet over the Atlantic Ocean is probably the last place one would expect to have a run-in with some sort of mystery creature, but things got interesting to say the least when Gassetti said that he was overcome by a sudden and inexplicable sense of overwhelming dread and had a feeling of nauseousness when he at first thought that this was some kind of abrupt panic attack, but looking around he could see that others sitting nearby seemed to be suffering the same ill effects. This is where things would get intense very quickly. Giusetti claims that he then heard a loud, jolting thud on the window of the plane, which some others around him also clearly heard, and when he looked out into the sky, he saw something from a horror film. There, fastened to the outside of the plane, was allegedly some sort of immense beetle-like insect with a metallic green body and large, segmented eyes. That was somehow able to maintain its grip on the aircraft. He would say of what happened thus: it had attached to the window with a claw-like structure and its big black legs. There were hairs and hooks and some sort of adhesive pad that apparently helped the animal stay on the plane. Then it unfastened its legs from the glass, and this green metallic body opened up. 2 wings came out. I should say they rolled out like a rug. They were translucent, and I could see it full of red veins. It looked like tree branches or a leaf, and the thing glided for about 2 seconds. Then it started flapping its wings slowly. It was incredibly slow, not like a regular insect where you can't even see the shape of the wings, and his eyes stared at us. Looked like a red flashlight. Now that's creepy as hell. After a few moments, the bizarre creature was gone. It would turn out that 10 other people had seen it as well, and one even claimed to have taken a photo of it, although it is unclear what happened to the photo. Gassetti claims to have exchanged email addresses with the passenger who took it, but that it was never sent. He would say, "I exchanged emails with one of them that claimed to have taken a picture, but he never replied." I never liked the way email addresses work. You get a letter wrong, and that's that, or maybe he doesn't want to send it to me. I don't know. I know it's hard to believe. I know what I saw, you know. I have never seen anything like this big insect. It's out of this world. Yeah. I hope so. God, I hope so. Yet another weird report from the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, was given by a rather reliable witness, in this case, a police officer in the small town of Mercerville, New Jersey. The unidentified officer claimed that he had been off duty and sitting on his back porch when he looked to the sky and saw quite a bizarre sight, in the form of a dark gray, snake-like creature flying through the air on two sets of wings. It's a regular one and another set of smaller wings at the end of its body. He had also mentioned that it had no discernible head. The witness says of the very strange snake bird, "I couldn't see a beak either. It didn't have legs or feet. It was about 10 feet long and thin like a snake, and its wings were very thin and long, and it moved like an eel or snake. It moved through the air like a sea creature would move through the water. I am familiar with anything that moves around us in our natural habitat, and this was not any natural earthly flying creature." So what was it then? An alien, cryptid, or interdimensional interloper? Just a tall tale? We could ask this about any of the cases that we looked at here and others like them. In all of these instances, there were creatures that not only seemed to be fully outside of any easy classification, but which were never seen again. And that's what's creepy about these, is that they were seen, they were observed, and oftentimes with at least credible witnesses, not exclusively. But, I mean, who's to say? And what does it mean? Well, maybe it means nothing. Maybe it's just the multiverse. Maybe it's just something peeking through from some other version of reality that just happened to glitch over for a second or something. But I don't know. At least I hope so, because when you think about what we already believe is out there, and I'm talking about the forests and the wild places of the world, and the idea that there's a lot of things out there that we already don't catalog in our sciences, and there is no official acknowledgement for them. But if you start adding on things like this, and again, we in this article, there's probably 30 or more different explanations of these weird things that people saw only once. But if only 1% of those is true, if only maybe 3 of them are actual exaggerated fact, then there's something really wild going on. And that's really unnerving. It's incredibly unnerving. But who knows? It's just the nature of our multiverse, I guess. But I guess if I was to fathom a hypothesis, it would be that there must be some windows that open and close in our multiverse, and sometimes things just get through, and maybe they get sucked back after a short period of time. I don't know. But God, wow. That is freaky. Good article, though. As always, Mr. Swanser, well done. We got a couple more of his tonight. I hope to get to. We'll get as far as we can anyway, but I really like that article. Very well done. Very comprehensive. And for one-offs, they were really well written. There isn't a lot to write about. I saw this one thing once, and you can tell he obviously gets as much information as possible on these claims. So why is this dragging? Oy. My computer's so tired. It's so tired, folks. She's working hard, though. Waiting for that window to close so I can move along. But it's been open on my computer for well over a week now. But the phone lines are open, folks. If you want to call in and be a part of the show, you are very welcome to. 720-923-0500 is the numbers to call here on the portal if you want to share something weird you've seen. Love to hear about it. All right, let's move this over. Splash a slug in there. All right. I'm going to look at things here. See if I missed something in my internet. And Monty Python's fish slapping dance. That's funny, Bam. Yeah, that's funny. There's all kinds of weirdness out there. Okay, so I want to get to this. This is some strange stuff people saw. This is another dragon sighting. I don't think this is the same one. But I thought these were neat. I think dragons are really interesting because there's legend and lore of dragons all over the globe, as well as like Bigfoot and stuff. And granted, the descriptions change quite a bit. So like a dragon over in Asia is quite a bit more serpent-like, and the dragon over in Europe, ancient Europe, was more almost dinosaur-like by the sounds of it, or at least lizard-like. But if they are all indeed dragons or the great worms, as they're known, who knows? Let's see. I'm going to pull this open and we're going to read it, though. Here we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so this one is a dragon sighting in Spring, Texas. Comes again from unexplained-mysteries.com. And this is, it's a very short sighting. It says, in April of 2016, I hope it's not April 1st, but we'll read it and find out. April of 2016 in Spring, Texas, I was doing laundry at the laundromat. It was 7 o'clock, dusk, and I went outside to smoke. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. Then suddenly I noticed something flying above me coming from the south. I thought it was a big bird at first, but then it got directly above me. I could see it was a dragon. Long, trident-tipped tail, very squared-off shaped wings. The head was kind of doggish looking from that angle and could make out scaly features. Because the sun was going down on the horizon, it was glistening in the sun, and I started to pull my cell phone out. I realized I had turned it off earlier. Tried to get a video, but it was gone from view already, and that's the other thing. It was flying faster than any normal bird can. Anybody else ever see anything like this? A dragon? No, that's something we don't hear much about at all. That's very, very strange. But that's a very short encounter video. This one's another one. I should have opened all of these up in advance, but excuse me, hold on. There we are. I think I got better. This one is, I think I know what I saw. Again, from unexplained-mysteries.com. I think I know what I saw. Let's see if we think we know. And this is coming from 2018, March 5th, 2018. And it was posted by Mystic Werewolf near Sultan, Washington. I don't know where that is. It's kind of in my neck of the woods, but I don't know where Sultan is. So let's see what it says. Back in the late 70s and early 80s, I used to target practice in the sand and gravel pits and mountains around Sultan, Washington. Back in the summer of 82, I was target practicing one summer day and had an unusual encounter in one of those sand pits. I had a 3x12 powered scope on the 30-06 with me on this day and was just going through 100 rounds practice shooting with both my eyes open. I just replaced an empty clip with a new one. I took a shot out at the new clip and then noticed some movement out of the corner of my eye. I scoped in on the movement and saw what looked like a large, hairy humanoid. That hair was just a shade darker than golden brown, and I could see the body from about the waist up. It was standing at the top of the sand pit to the left of where I was targeting, calmly watching me. At first I thought someone had put up a cardboard cutout up there, and I scoped it out and see what I was actually seeing. And when I was looking at it through my scope at a range of about 75 to 100 feet, it blinked. And my first thought was, Bigfoot. Then I remembered someone once told me there was $1 million bounty on one of these creatures, and I decided to cash in on said bounty. But instead of pulling the trigger, I stared for maybe 35 seconds or so longer and then put the rifle down. It seemed that I had tunnel vision, and I continued to watch whatever it was until it stepped backwards into the trees and just vanished. Then I grabbed my rifle and ran for the spot it had been standing in. I got there and started looking for some evidence. No footprints, no hair, no stench, no evidence of any type. I searched for what I would guess 20 or 30 minutes. I measured a tree standing next to whatever it had been, and I had to grab the rifle by the butt to extend my arm as high as I could to reach the point in that tree that had been next to the head of the creature. And it was 8 feet tall, give or take an inch. I double-checked the measurement with the tape when I got back to the car, I keep tools in my trunk. After I realized what I almost did, I got scared at what I had thought about shooting at. I decided to leave and came back to Seattle. It was just a couple of years later when the memories came back to haunt me. I was watching Harry and the Hendersons, and when I saw Harry, I could not believe what I was seeing. The face of what I saw in the mountains was not as pretty as what I saw on TV, but in general, they looked about the same. That is an awful chance to take, sneaking up on someone while in a costume who is shooting a hunting rifle just for a joke. And if it was someone in a costume, they needed a good makeup artist to pull it off. I was looking at it magnified through the scope on my rifle and could not see the signs of makeup artistry. Was it someone dressed up in a Bigfoot suit, or was it real? To this day, I don't know what I saw, but I know I saw it, and I think I know what it was. The one thing I do know is that it was not a bear. I have hunted and harvested them several times. That reminds me of a story that Bear, Jim King of the Bigfoot Outlaws, he mentioned this, and it wasn't on our show that he mentioned it, but it was on a different show, in a different interview he did. And he was talking about this group of hunters. Every year they would meet up at this cabin, this hunting cabin. And it was like a family group, as I recall. And it was the man who owned the cabin, his son, and then there was I think a cousin or a friend, and they went up first, and the old man was going to come up later. He had to work or whatever, or just couldn't make it up as early, but he told them that he was going to, on his way up, he was going to stop in the gravel pit at the bottom of the mountain to sight in his rifle. And so they were much higher up the mountain, and I guess couldn't really hear any shooting or anything, but the night went and went and went, and the guy never showed up. And they didn't know, what was going on, but by the next morning, and if I'm paraphrasing this, so forgive me if I'm not exactly accurate on all the details, but they did go down, and they found his truck, his pickup truck, just sitting there in the bottom of the gravel pit. And they were like, well, what's going on? And they went to look in the truck, and they found the man, or what was left of the man. And he was essentially folded in half and jammed behind the pickup truck seat. So this grown adult man was smashed in half and jammed behind the driver's, or the bench seat in the pickup. Obviously, he was deceased. Well, they investigated the area, and apparently what they pieced together was that he was down there, as he said he would, and he was sighting in his rifle when he must have seen, and they looked all around, but they found footprints of Bigfoot up on the ridge of this gravel pit, and then they found a bloody area, and then they found the guy's prints as well. And so what they pieced together was happening was he targeted in his rifle, as he said he was going to do, and must have caught the sight of a Bigfoot on the upper rim, just like this story was kind of started saying. Except this guy took the shot, and he hit it, and apparently it must have dropped it. Apparently the Bigfoot went down, but then was able to get back up and ran into the forest where the guy was quickly pursuing. And at some point in there, I guess he met the family. And the family wasn't happy. And they figured that the rest of the clan moved in and made quick work of the guy. Unfortunately, it's a very, very sad and tragic tale. But, as I was reading that story, I'm thinking, is this that story? But no, obviously, because the person that wrote this story was the one who was doing the shooting. And the guy that did the shooting in Bear's story, he didn't do anything else after that except wait in a pickup truck until his corpse was discovered. And that's, really, really tragic, obviously, for a number of reasons. But, yeah, apparently he took the shot that guy didn't. And it didn't work out well for him. So, and I think that's the thing to remember is if you see a Sasquatch, the thing to remember is you're not seeing the rest of them. They generally aren't alone. They may be in family groups. They may be in, a larger party, and most likely they are, except with what people claim to be rogue males that get kicked out because they're too old, and the alphas don't want to have competition for the females, so they apparently kick them out at a certain age, and they're left to wander and find their own way. But if it is it's possible that could have been what this was, but not what it turned out. So, good God, there's the hour break. So anyway, I got a call. We'll get to the call on the other side of the break. So don't go away, everyone. We'll be right back with more of the Paranormal Portal. Stay tuned.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, ripping scars across my heart. Raging anger boils inside me as their lies keep falling apart. With my silence, I am not a stupid boy. No more breaking me with kindness, just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise, you're just another fucking mess. Taking all the slice of my sanity, just make sure that you're well fed.
Caroline is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that is different from themselves. Her life force. It is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, hour number 2 is now upon us here on the portal. Special hello to everybody that's new in the chat room. I see Vic is in there, Happy Girl's in there, and I see, who else did I see? I'm terrible with names, so it's like Hardy for Newman was another name I don't think I've seen before, but welcome everybody. It's good to see you guys here. We've had a call on the line here for a bit, so let me get to that. It called in just before the last break by a few minutes, so we'll get to that. And this is area code 419. You're on the air.
Hello?
Hi. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Brent. My name's Jen. I'm from Michigan, but I'm in Ohio now, so
Okay.
I'm in the state that all the weird stuff happens in.
Yeah, Ohio's always hopping. How's everything going there for you?
Don't even ask. I can't wait to get out of the state. But we're in Toledo, so it's a hard city to live in.
Oh man.
But I called because you're talking about the one-offs, like just like weird creatures or just anomalies that people have seen.
Yeah.
And I think I must have been like, I've had a lot of like paranormal stuff happen. I'm not like, a psychic or anything like that, but I've just had a lot of weird stuff happen.
Okay.
As far as paranormal goes. But so I'm between like 9 and 11 years old, and living at my mom's, and you know how you walk into like a bedroom and you stand in the doorway and you forget it's like you instantly, your mind goes blank and you just totally forget what you went in there for.
Uh-huh.
So I stood in the doorway of my bedroom, and it was like broad daylight, and all of a sudden, like right when I stood, like I got to the doorway and I'm standing there, and something moving caught my eye it was by my closet, and I saw 2 hot pink balls that were like, there was 2, and then in the middle of that was like an aqua colored spiral.
Oh, wow.
And it was spaced maybe 3 feet, like the whole thing was maybe 3 or 4 feet long.
Okay.
There wasn't anything in between it or anything like that. It was just the 2 balls. One was a little lower, and then you had the spiral in the middle, and then you had the higher pink ball on the other side. And it just literally, it was like a bouncing, like it was all bouncing in one motion, like it was one entity.
Okay.
And it bounced, and it probably took about 3 or 4 bounces, and it bounced right through my closet door. Like, and I screamed, and my mom was on the phone, and I was trying to tell her what I saw.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm on the phone, but, yeah, how parents were back then. But, I didn't even explain to her, like, after she got off the phone, because I thought about it, and I'm like, I couldn't even say I saw a ghost. I can, but that was not, I don't know what that was, but that was probably the most unusual paranormal thing I've ever seen. So I just wanted to tell you that and tell everybody else that.
Absolutely. Now, did you have other activity in the house, or is that kind of the only one off there?
Yeah. No, there was a lot of activity in that house. In fact, it got to the point where I would come home from school and there was like a half hour that I'd have to wait for my mom and my stepdad, one of them, to get off work. And luckily my grandma lived next door, and sometimes she would come over and, you know, sit there for a half hour or whatever till they got home, just because I did not like to be there by myself. I would literally it felt like I was walking to the electric chair or something, like when I was, you know, when I would round the corner and see my house and I'd get off the bus, and it was a very scary place to be. And the weird thing is I can remember a lot of things that happened, but I can't remember exactly why I was so scared. Like, I don't know if I shut it out or what, but yeah, there was quite a few weird things that happened in that house.
Wow.
Scary things. But I think I may have encountered a Sasquatch in northern Michigan.
By all means.
I think I was in I don't know if I was in the UP or if I was in just northern Michigan, and I don't remember the city or anything. But we were camping, my boyfriend at the time and I, and another couple were camping. And there was, you know, a lot of people at this campsite and everything. But it was pretty far out there in the woods. And but it was kind of a busy campground. But anyways, it was probably like 1 o'clock at night, and the other couple started arguing and everything. So me and my ex stepped off into just like maybe 3-4 feet into like the wood line. And we were talking, we were facing one another, but we were probably maybe 2-3 feet apart. I don't know, something.
Okay.
And we were just, I don't even remember what we were talking about. We just wanted to get out of there because it was uncomfortable.
Right.
But so all of a sudden, and my ex was 6'7", and he's a big dude, you know. So, and I'm real short. I'm like 5'3". But anyway, so we're facing each other, and we're just a couple feet apart or whatever. And all of a sudden, and it's very, very dark out. And all of a sudden, we hear like something like mowing down trees, like to the left of us or to the left of him. Like if you were looking into the wood line, it would be to the left. But anyways, but there was nothing there. It was like mowing down trees and little, you know, all the brush, not big trees or anything, but all the brush and, you know, small saplings or whatever. Something was just mowing it down, and it was coming straight towards us, and it was fast as heck. And we didn't even have time to like really, we just looked over there, and it came straight for us, and it was like a force, and it went in between us, and it pushed both of us like in the chest area, and it like pushed us, and then it kept going, and you could like hear it and like see everything, like it just kept going. And I don't know, I always like chalk it up to it was a Bigfoot, but
yeah,
that was kind of weird.
That's way weird.
And it knocked him down. Yeah.
Wow.
It knocked him down because it must have hit him square into whatever, but I'm so short, it just pushed me back a bit. But I'm lucky he didn't knock my head off, whatever it was.
Oh man, that's scary. And could you see the path that it had blown through the brush? Was there broken sticks in its wake?
It was like a little trampled and a little bit broken and stuff like that. We didn't like stick around to, and it was so dark, but you could see it had definitely been like, not like trampled big time or anything, but it was just definitely like maybe a car had like went through there real quick and just went real quick and, broke some branches or not branches really, but trees and, bushes and stuff like that.
That's intense.
Yeah. But we, stepped back into the campground in the campsite, like real quick after that.
I don't blame you. I would have too. Their argument be damned. I'm not standing out there anymore. That's intense.
No. Yeah. That was really strange.
And so you guys left the site at that time? Did you leave?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you guys leave right at that time then? Like, no, we're out of here?
Oh, no. Because the campground was pretty full. I mean, it wasn't, you could hear other people partying and stuff. You could actually see like 2 or 3 of the campsites that were, not by us or whatever. We were like on the outside of the ring or whatever the heck it was. I don't know. But, the other couple was there and at the time we didn't know what it was. I mean, I still don't really know what it was, but,
sure.
At the time we were just like, and we were drinking, we definitely started drinking hard after that. So we just,
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Liquid courage.
Yeah.
So,
get your beer muscles.
Yeah. Huh? Oh no, it was Jack Daniels back then.
Gotcha. Okay.
Oh,
wow. That's fantastic.
But yeah.
That's a lot of really
I just
strange
wanted
experiences.
I
said that's a lot of strange experiences. That's really cool.
Yeah. No, I've had a lot of weird stuff happen. But yeah, I don't know, I'll email or something.
Yeah,
some
please
of them.
do. Please do. I'd love to hear more of them.
If anybody knows of it's an apartment building. It's called Frank Chop, and it's in Washington State. It's in Bremerton.
Okay.
Township or whatever. My boyfriend, who's right here next to me, I came to live with him, and this place was off the chain, as they say. This place was we even had like drops of water, like probably once every other week to like maybe once a month. We would have a super cold drop of water drop on one of us.
Wow.
And it was from the ceiling. Yeah. And like, we had company over and they didn't believe us. And, literally they're walking out the door and a drop of water dropped like right on one of them. I don't remember which. It was a couple. I don't remember if it was the girl or the guy. I think it was the girl, but yeah, it dropped right on them.
Oh.
And then they believed us. But yeah, I just wondered if anybody's out there it knows about Frank Chop. It's actually like in the haunted, like if you look up haunted places or whatever, like haunted apartments or whatever in Washington State.
That's in there.
Especially Bremerton, it'll pop up. Lots of weird stuff there.
Wow.
So yeah.
Well, take care of yourself.
But I'm not gonna. Thank you. Yeah, I don't want to overspend my time on the phone. So, because I don't want to. Nobody wants to listen to me for hours. So,
no, I love the paranormal stories for sure. I said I love the paranormal stories, so you can have all the time you need.
Thank
it's great
you.
to hear them. Yep.
I'm the one who said that you should write your book. Don't forget to write your book.
Yes,
you got a lot of good ideas.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So,
I appreciate that a bunch, and thank you so much for listening and being a part of tonight's show. I'd love it if you'd email me if you have more to share. I'd love to hear all of them.
Okay, I will.
Okay.
I will. I have to catch you live. I never catch you guys live. So, okay. Well, thank you. And, hi to everybody out there. And You guys all have a good night. Thanks, Brent.
All right, take care. Thank you for calling.
Okay, bye.
That's really cool. That's still always my favorite. My favorite part of the show is just hearing from you guys, hearing what you've experienced, what you guys have seen, what you've been through. Yeah, those, I don't even know if that would be a bluff charge. You know, if it charged right through the middle of them, that seems like, usually bluff charges to me, and I'm not an expert, I'm not a pro, but in descriptions, it's like they're charged at, but then the Bigfoot will stop short, but this thing blew right through them. And I find that really interesting. But, you know, maybe it wasn't a full-grown adult. Maybe it was one of the, you know, younger ones. Who knows? But that's all kinds of intense. Wow. That's not an experience many people will ever have in their lifetime. Even people that want those experiences look for a lifetime to experience something like that and will never come close. So very cool. And you're okay. That's the big thing. You guys are okay. So, and we're okay. So, very cool. But yeah, any of you have stories to share, please, by all means, call in. 720-923-0500 is the number for fun right here on the portal. And I'll be glad to talk to you. Let me get back to my article here and see what else we can get. This one has a weird title, and I haven't read it through, so I don't know what we're getting into here, but it's got a really cool title. So, well, I mean, it sounds bizarre. It's a bizarre title, but I'm just opening it now, and things are getting a little more responsive on the portal computer. So that's good. I think we're getting to the point where it's working a little more seamlessly. But this is coming from unexplained-mysteries.com as well, and it's the twice whistling creature. Never heard of that. My friend was really good buddies with several of the First Nations people back home, and he would hang out with them, and he heard some of their folklores and stories. And one of the things I remember growing up that he said is that you never whistle, and during the dark, when it's dark, never whistle. And I always thought, wow, I wondered why. And it's since learning about the Bigfoot that I think that really hits home, because they seem to respond to whistles. And so you might be calling them in. And I wonder if the local tribe where I grew up has knowledge of them or had knowledge of them in the area. Again, it's tough to find this information out, because it's a lot of First Nations tribes are very guarded about their legend and histories and such, with especially with these creatures, which I think is probably good, you know, for the most part. But I think of all the wisdoms they may have to share. And I would like to point out, too, over the break, Elaine in our chat on YouTube said, hey, I remember that story, but wasn't the guy that got folded in half the wrong way? And it was like, oh, yes, he was. So you're absolutely right, Elaine. That's exactly one part of the story that I don't know if it didn't stick in my head, but once you said it, it was like, oh, yeah, that's true. So, and that means, folks, that folding the right way would be like you bending over and touching your toes. That would be the right way. The wrong way is if you brought your neck to your heels. And that's basically how the guy was folded up behind behind the bench seat in his pickup truck, or maybe it was on the floorboards, but somewhere, man, the guy was broken. And what a feat of strength. Ugh, what a terrifying thing that must have been. But this is the twice whistling creature. And it says, okay, so this has been going on for a few months now, but things have just went to the next level last night. I was about 6 months pregnant when we started back in October. We had only been living in this house for about 2 to 3 months, and everything had been normal. The first few times it happened, I didn't think too much about it. I just thought it was a bird or something. The whistling always happens at night. It was one high-pitched whistle and a short pause, and then a lower-pitched whistle. I'll start with the first time I noticed there was something odd. I was probably 7 months pregnant, and my dog and I were napping on the couch. For whatever reason, while I was pregnant, I would moan in my sleep, sometimes so loud that I'd wake myself up. So I was asleep and woke myself up moaning, and then I heard the whistling sound, but it sounded like it was coming from the kitchen. I know I wasn't just hearing things, because the dog shot up and looked in the kitchen with his ears perked up. Well, after that happened, I had noticed that this whistling sound was only happening at night. And I've never heard a bird or anything else make this sound during the day. It started to become more frequently, but the dog and I were the only ones that were hearing it. I told my husband about it, but he just kind of brushed it off. The second weird thing that happened was at the end of my pregnancy, my husband and I were in bed, and I was sleeping, and he was watching television. I was moaning like normal. My husband said it was getting louder and louder, and then he heard the whistling, and I stopped moaning. He woke me up to tell me this, and after I had my daughter in January, the whistling had pretty much stopped until the last couple of weeks. I've been hearing it almost every night, and on Sunday, my husband and I both heard it. Last night, after my husband got home from work, he took the dog outside. We have a very long and narrow patch of trees directly across the road from our house. I was in the house, and the windows were open, but the curtains were closed, so I could hear but not see. So according to my husband, the dog was peering and really focused at this patch of trees, and then he saw a cat, but the cat was stalking something in the trees. After the dog was done peering, he took off. At first, my husband thought it was the cat, but something shot out of the trees. In the house, I heard claws on the pavement. First, really fast ones, and the obvious stride of our dog. I heard my husband yell for the dog to come back. And then they came in the house, and I looked as if my husband had seen a ghost. He said that whatever came out of the trees was pretty big, about as big as our dog, who was a Doberman Pinscher, and about 110 pounds. On all four, it ran so fast, he said that if he wasn't paying attention, he probably would have missed it. It looked more like human, though, that was on all four. It was dark in color and jumped up into the air and disappeared. All last night, the dog did not want to be alone. Usually he sleeps on the couch, but my husband had to throw him out of our bed. This morning, my husband went outside to look in the tree to see if there was an obvious spot where this had been living. When he went over to check it out, our neighbor, whose yard backs up to the trees, came outside, and when my husband told him that there was something big in there last night, the neighbor said, "Oh, it won't hurt nothing." I can't help but think this creature and the whistling are related. If anyone can help me figure out what it is or what I should do, that would be greatly appreciated. Wow, that sounds like a mystery, doesn't it? Doesn't it sound like there's, I don't know, like you get the mystery machine rolling out and you'd start looking into it? The weird neighbor seems to have a knowledge of it, but he's not telling anybody. That's kind of creepy. Again, Sasquatch are rumored to whistle or make whistling sounds. Whether it's part of their location or what, who knows? But that is creepy. Twice whistling. And whenever she would moan from the complications of her pregnancy or whatever, that whistling would happen and she would stop. But you got to wonder, is that a subconscious alert? Like she would hear that noise and some part of her just went, "Whoa," and then quieted down just to listen. I don't know if any of you guys have experienced this, but I have experienced this sometimes. And it's like part of my body is listening to my surroundings. And I'm usually, when I do sleep, I'm a pretty deep sleeper, so I'm kind of dead to the world. But I can tell you that on a number of occasions, I will come awake from a deep sleep knowing I heard something, but whatever the something I heard, it's not happening while I'm awake. It's something that brings me out of my sleep state. And it kind of puts me into this alert state. Excuse me, hold on. And so I'm thinking, does it sound like, am I hearing something that maybe my mind is thinking, is there an intruder coming in the house? Or something like that. That's kind of bringing me into alert. But I don't know. Maybe that's what's happening for this person. Maybe she isn't quite coming to full consciousness because of the whistling, but maybe it was bringing her, I don't know, out of that deeper sleep state and into a more lighter sleep state just to be prepared. I don't know. That's really, really creepy, though. Very creepy. And what would it be about the size of a Doberman, but looked more human? Could it be a skinwalker, maybe? Where was this? This was in let Let me see if I can. Oh, it's in Ohio. It's in Ohio. Of course, it's in Ohio. This is from Ohio, and right where our last caller was from. And, if you're not familiar with Ohio, ladies and gentlemen, they have everything going on there. They got Bigfoot phenomena. They got UFOs. They've got weird cryptids. They've got dogmen. They've got ghosts, lots of haunted areas, lots of ley lines. Yeah, there's all kinds of spookiness in Ohio. So I guess of all the places this story should happen, that one makes perfect sense. But we're going to go to our last break, ladies and gentlemen, so don't go away. We'll be back with more of The Portal in just a couple minutes. Got to go pay the bills again. If you're listening on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, you're going to hear commercials. But if you're on YouTube watching the show, you should be greeted with some music in the video to watch. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Okay. Oops. Just got to get back in the seat here. I got a call on the board, so let me get to this first of all. And this is area code 254. You're on the air.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. I kept trying it. It just never would take, I guess.
Oh, weird. Well, I'm glad it works now. Welcome to the show.
Well, it's Wonder Woman.
Yes, of course. How you doing? Thanks for calling in.
All right. I had a gentleman relay a story to me about a one-off. If you want to hear it.
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
So we're talking about one-off cryptids. He and another man were going to make a trip down toward Georgetown, Texas, and there's some caves down there, and they had 3 other guys with shovels that went with them.
Mm-hmm.
When they it was supposed to be an old mine along where all these caves were at, and so they got to the site, and it was just a hole in the ground.
Oh.
And it was the type of mine that they just sunk a shaft, you know.
Uh-huh.
Well, they shone their light down in there, and it was a pretty good fall down in there. And they didn't bring any rope with them. So they took the chicken wire off of the perimeter and put it down in the hole, and then anchored it and used it to climb down in the hole. And they just had a little old flashlight, and so they got down in there, and it opened up kind of into a room that had shelving in the back of it, that natural stone, like where water's been, and then it recedes. And he said that there was so there was all 5 of them down in there, and he said they heard some scuffling in the corner, and they showed them the light over in the corner, and they saw something moving, and the flashlight kept going out on them, you know, the old-timey kind that you have to shake the batteries in.
Yeah.
And said that they got a... You've been there too, huh?
Oh, yeah, I remember those. Yep.
You're shaking the batteries, yeah. And so they finally got the light to shine on, it was like 2 separate creatures, they thought. And each foot had 3 toes, and then above that, it had gray fur.
Wow.
And when the guys he said, "Did you see that?" He said, "Yeah, I saw." And they looked, and the 3 guys that had come to dig with them, they were headed up the chicken wire. They were headed back up the hole.
Nope.
So they got the heck out of there, and so they followed right in behind them, and they all just scrambled out of it. They were looking for like gold or silver in an old mine.
Sure.
And they decided they wasn't going to do that.
Yeah.
But whatever it was had 3 toes,
Yeah,
3 toes, and gray fur.
Wow. Did they say how tall it was?
No, they couldn't tell.
Okay.
Because the rest of it was like up underneath that shelf,
Oh,
you know?
Okay. Gotcha.
And so I thought maybe it might be I can't remember what he said he thought it was, but I thought that maybe the fur was actually feathers, and that maybe it was some baby buzzards or baby owls or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's hard
they,
to know without the because the 3 toes. Yeah, you would think more avian, wouldn't you?
Yeah. But I should have asked him more about what the toes looked like, if they had a claw on the end of them, or
Sure. Right.
or whatever.
No,
But that's a brainer for me. I just thought I'd call that in and let y'all know about it.
well, thank you. It's always wonderful to hear from you, of course, Kathy. Thanks. And yeah, if you can ever, I mean, is it possible still to find out more about that?
I'm not going in there, but it's been a while since he's been down in there.
Okay.
I will ask him again if they're planning on going back with a high beam light and a rope,
Sure. I mean,
preferably.
well, I was going to say that there is
Find out.
like the Momo version of Sasquatch, Missouri Monster, is shortened for Momo. That is allegedly got 3 toes. And I don't know.
Oh, really?
Huh?
But it has fur, right?
It does. Yeah, it's mostly fur. In fact, like where a Bigfoot you can see a face, apparently with the Momo, it was just like a huge cousin from the Addams Family, just this carpet. You couldn't even make out a face in there, but and it was 8 feet tall as well, so it was quite big. But you know, I find it interesting because a lot of those creatures, people have long, well, there's legends, of course, to relate with that as well, but they are believed to be at least partially subterranean.
Well, see, this was down by the cave systems down there near Austin.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's very interesting. Wow. Yeah, I gotta admit, if it was me, I would have been climbing up too. I'd have been, nope, okay, I'm good. You know, I love this stuff, but I love it. Yeah, 3 toes, I'm good. But wow.
3, 6, 9, 12. Okay.
Yep.
Maybe 2 creatures. Maybe two bipedal creatures.
Yeah.
Or 1 4-footed creature. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because they could just see the fur up above it, and it was great.
Yikes.
I kept wanting to think. I kept wanting to. He said toes. He didn't say talons.
That's true.
He did say toes.
Okay. Well.
So it's the Momo.
Well, no, I'm
Maybe.
not saying it is, but I'm saying that is certainly a 3-toed version of the Bigfoot that is reported. There are other people finding 3-toed tracks. They're much more rare, but they do come up from time to time. So it is kind of interesting.
I've never seen a 3-toed track. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, look into it and look for the Momo princes specifically. I know those are 3-toed, so tell me what you think. But yeah, if you can find out any more information, I'd love to hear about it as well.
Okay, and that's in Missouri?
Yep, that's Missouri. Yep.
Okay, well, I'll let you go.
All right, my lady, thank you for calling in. It's great to hear from you, and thanks for being a part of the show.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good night.
Bye-bye.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, I don't know if any of you out there have tried to call in. I don't know. I did the test call myself. That was Kathy, of course, Wonder Woman from the chat, and she was having trouble calling in too. So just keep trying. It is working as far as I can tell. But if anybody's having trouble calling in, let me know, because I can certainly follow up with the company that provides the phone boards for us. So that's something we can pursue for sure. But so apparently somebody was offended in the chat, and it's I got to tell you guys, Wes Grimmer's been a long time friend of the Portal. He has done amazingly helping to promote this show, and he is a dear friend as well. So there'll never be an issue where I'm stomping on Wes's feet or he's stomping on mine. He's just a wonderful guy, and he's been just a hell of a mentor for me personally. He is a personal friend. So, if we mention things that may have been mentioned on Sasquatch Chronicles as well, without giving due credit, just know that Wes is he's been a big part of the Portal and our continued growth, and I know that he's been on the show and he's played Sasquatch Chronicles clips on the show. So I know that he is personally not going to care, but I appreciate some people are just really, really loyal fans, and I think that that's a good thing. But just know that Wes is a friend, and I know that he's supportive of what we're doing here on the show, and so just so there's no misunderstandings. But thought I'd put that out there because I don't want people to get upset because they don't understand. So anyway, let's continue on. Let's just continue on. Where was I? Oh, yeah, more stories. I've got more. It's not just one and done. Where the hell's the more? Oh, here we go. Got to click there. Got to click there, get another page. God, the night has flown by. I got to tell you, for, having Don be under the weather tonight, I was like, oh, well, I hope this show goes okay. But you guys have made it amazing. Thank you for all the participation. All the call-ins, it really helps a bunch. Here's a cryptid that I honestly admit I've never heard of before this moment. This is kind of a strange cryptid as well. It's apparently referred to as the Boar Man. The Boar Man. Now I've heard of Bat Squatch. I've heard of lots of other different weird cryptids. The Bat Squatch is a personal favorite of mine because people see these squatch-sized creatures with bat wings, and they think that they're observing them taking flight. And I'm just like, God, they must flap those wings like a hummingbird, though, because if you're thinking of like 800 pounds of meat, it takes a lot to get that off the ground. So, but anyway, they are observed as well. So, this is the Boar Man, and this is coming from unexplained-mysteries.com as well. This was posted March 26th of 2017 by Julia Thornwalt from the Wichita Mountains in Oklahoma. And let me take a look at the clock here. I don't know how much time we've got left because it's been flying tonight. Okay, we got time for this for sure. It says, recently my husband and I traveled to the Wichita Mountains Wildlife Refuge. We'd been there a few times, and the Parallels Forests is our favorite place to go. Sorry, it's just written pretty weird there. But this time something weird happened. I wanted to show my husband the stone rock circle, so we started walking down the path I knew that led to it. Then for some reason I found myself walking off the path to a group of trees off by themselves. My husband asked where we were going since we were no longer on a path, but I just kept going. I don't know why. It was like something was drawing me in. I was filled with a sense of hopelessness. It wasn't until I was standing in the middle of a creek that I realized I hadn't really been in control of myself. Well, I brushed it off and got us back on the right trail, telling my husband I just got turned around. Well, after seeing the stone, we headed back to the car. Towards the entrance of the forest, we saw a longhorn cow. Well, we stopped to take pictures, and then it started shaking wildly, almost like it was being attacked by a hive of bees. I've grown up on farms, but I've never seen a cow move like that. Next thing I know, it starts charging us. Well, we ran for it, and the second we exit the trees, the cow just stopped, turned around, and walked off. I don't know if I'm just going crazy or not, but that's weird, right? I've heard stories of stuff like this happening around those woods, but never thought that they were true. But after all that, I'm really wondering about those Boar Man stories. Like, could he really be controlling animals and affecting people's thinking? Can't believe I'm even asking this about the Boar Man, but I know one thing. I'm never going back to the parallel forest. I've not heard of this, though. That's really strange. It must be a regional thing. But I have heard through many claims in the years that I've been researching this stuff of people being controlled. There was one story that I recall, and I find this really interesting because I think it could be a form of predation. And of course, I think anytime we think about stories where something is controlling someone else, I think a lot of us now just go right to Missing 411, David Paulides, because we're all as a whole trying to understand what the hell's going on out there. What is happening to these people? And how is it that these strange events are taking place? Well, the story that I'm thinking about is these two guys were doing a Boy Scout camp, and they took their scouts up to their campsite and stuff, and there was other adults there as well, and they got everybody all settled and stuff. Well, two of the Eagle Scout guys, or I don't know, maybe they were just scout masters, decided to just go off and relax up in some area near the camp, but up on top of the hill from there. So they hiked up there, and they got there, and they said they were sitting there, and suddenly they were both entranced, mesmerized by the sounds of running water. And they felt themselves inextricably drawn to it, like this compulsion to go find this water. And they heard it clear as day, and they don't recall hearing anything like it before that moment, but it was like they were hearing this tranquil babbling brook and having this feeling of peace and being drawn to this area that was a little distant from where they were. So they both, without thinking, leaped to their feet simultaneously and started making their way through the forest towards this sound they were hearing in their heads of this babbling brook. And then one of them kind of jerked out of it, and then the other one did, and they both were like, "Did you hear that? Did you hear that water?" Well, there was no running water anywhere near there. They were nowhere near a stream or anything. They were up on top of a mountain, and they looked around, couldn't find any water. They felt really freaked out because they felt as though they were being compelled and led to something, like something was drawing them away. And they said that even the next day they went back up to that area to look around and try to figure out where this water sound was coming from. They never could figure it out, and it never happened again. But they felt in that moment as if something was trying to draw them away and to do God only knows what. But when you hear the missing 411 stories, you think, in many cases, these people, sometimes they're young, sometimes they're old, sometimes they're very seasoned wood people like hunters and hikers and people that are very adept at doing this kind of stuff, are suddenly just gone, or they're found in places that they would never have gone, and all of the behaviors just don't track. They don't make sense. And so it makes me think, with some of this weird stuff that's running around out there. Now, this story mentioned the Boar Man, and this person talked about being suddenly like taken over and marching somewhere else completely away from where she wanted to go and show her husband or boyfriend or whatever. And it makes me think, well, is that a form of predation? Of course, any kind of hunter is going to want to draw the animals or its prey in the safest way possible for itself so it doesn't sustain injury. Well, is it possible that our minds could be controlled? And I think it probably is, and that's, of course, really creepy. But then you got to think, well, what's doing this? And we all think of UFOs. We all think of the spirits, or the Fae, our legendary creatures that would draw people away. And, what are these things? And do they prey on people? And maybe they do. I don't know. It's just really creepy because we have this achievement of being the one species on this planet, good, bad, or otherwise, but we've crawled to the top. We're the smartest things here, we're pretty sure. We have cities, we have inventions, we have technologies, we have all of these things, and yet maybe there's other intelligences out there that are more primal and more in tune with the nature, and maybe we're still susceptible to that kind of stuff. It's really creepy, though. It's a really creepy thought to think that, there might be things out there that really do prey on us. That, although as far as predation goes, we would be the easiest prey, I think, of all of them, especially if we could be controlled like that. But, just by physical standards alone, we are not competitive in the natural world. We're just this side of of snail, I think, as far as speed goes in the natural world. Everything seems to be faster, more agile, limber, well adapted to their environments, except us. So I think that's very interesting. I don't know. Just food for thought. Take it or leave it. I don't pretend to know these things, but I like discussing them because I think it's a big part of what we do. Looks like we still got some time, so let's see if we can find one. I don't know if I want to read that one. Let's see. Really? Well, this is kind of interesting. Wait, let me see this other one. This one's something roaming the woods. I think this may very well be the last thing we read tonight on the show, but we'll take a look and see how long it is. This one's coming from unexplained-mysteries.com, and it's posted by Tone, Tone. The location is Salt Fork, Idaho. That's a pretty well-known Bigfoot phenomena or area. Salt Fork State Park is a hot spot where many Bigfoot sightings have happened. So it says, this happened well over 10 years ago. I can't provide the dates, but my experience happened in Salt Fork, Ohio. I'd forgotten about it for years until a silly television show jolted my memory. Now the more I think on it, and write on it, the more details I remember, and the more intriguing it becomes to me. I became very excited after reading another member's story that sounded so similar to what I experienced that it sends chills down my spine. This is the post I made after reading a similar account by another member. I am of the opinion that we experienced the same thing. The first telling I wrote on here, I had just seen an Animal Planet cryptozoology episode that took place in the same remote area that I had my encounter. When I wrote my reaction in the comment box of the other member's experience, I was more focused and so more details surfaced from memory than the first time I wrote about what happened. So here's the second recall I wrote. It was late. We were sitting around our campfire eating hot dogs and cleaning our rifles from the day's volley of rounds, when out of nowhere, this horrible, ear-piercing, aggressive scream came from out of the tree line no more than 20 yards away. This thing was so loud that I could feel the vibrations of the sound waves going through my chest. It was like being at a metal concert and being too close to the speakers. Whatever that thing was, it was angry, and it seemed directed at us. I'm sure you're familiar with the wildlife indigenous to your area, as in you know the sounds they can make. I'm also a veteran camper, and I know all of the sounds the night brings from coyotes, owls, foxes, etc. And let me just say, this was like nothing I had ever experienced, period. This was no coyote, box, fair, owl, falcon, etc. The three of us jolted up and instinctively pointed our rifles in the direction of the awful noise came from. I wanted to pull the trigger right then, but I was too afraid things would go from bad to worse. My one buddy, Brian, voice shaking, goes, "I'm going back to the car." And we all slowly started walking backwards, and I still had my Remington aimed steady at a group of trees, ready to fire. As I got a bit further away, I thought that maybe it wouldn't follow us if I let off a shot or two, so I did. I fired 2 rounds into the same dark woods, and just based on our intuition alone, I think whatever made that sound was long gone. We made it to the car and sat inside, clutching our rifles until daybreak. When we went back to the campsite, everything was how we left it. Nothing was missing or damaged, and the three of us have never spoken of the incident since. I don't know what made that noise, but it made 3 well-armed, experienced woodsmen, whom are not usually easy to frighten, cower and hide like mice from a cat. Wow. Yeah, that's a powerful thing. The vocalizations, I don't know if somehow infrasound is a part of those vocalizations, but speaking of Sasquatch Chronicles, he had a British lady on there, and it's part of his trailer, his intro, when she talks about how she saw the big one move, and he moved like he was gliding. She never saw anything move like that before, but the story is she's up on the bank taking pictures of this family of Sasquatch down below, or she's trying to. But then her lens made a noise. The big one in the water looks up, sees her up there in the overlook, looking down on this family that's below on the beach. He's up in chest deep water and just strides out of the water and starts coming right up to her, along with the, I suppose, the alpha female who's bickering at the other one. And it sounds like from the narrative of the story that this female is basically keeping the male from tearing this woman apart. Oh my God, is that the story? But anyway, the sound. She's knocked unconscious by the sound. So the vocalizations are powerful. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time I got for you. I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. Stick around for Paisley Wild coming up next. TFR, iHeart, tune in and TalkStream Live or on her YouTube channel. Love you guys. Have a great night.
Hi, my name is Ella, and I'm 10 years old. I'm one of the millions of children born to parents suffering from the sheeple virus. Symptoms include the inability to think for oneself, the attention span of a goldfish,